I want to focus specifically on what Senator Paul said there to Emerald and the double standard we are seeing from the Justice Department and federal prosecutors when it comes to the way those who were at the Capitol on January 6th were treated versus some of the other violent actors like the ones that attacked the police officer and Senator Rand Paul and his wife.
And look at all the attacks across the country started by Antifa and anarchists and Black Lives Matter. Those individuals are not being held accountable. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or brown, Republican or Democrat. If you break the law, everyone should be treated in the same way. And to hold individuals in jail who are not violent like this, I don't care what the event is or what transpired, everyone should be treated equally under the law.
And I think, 99% of this country feels that way. I don't think the, powers that be in Washington, D.C. or in a lot of the corporate press feel that way, especially when you look at the way this treatment, the way this was covered in the news. I want to focus specifically, too, there's more to talk about with this on Capitol Hill Police Officer Harry Dunn. He testified on Tuesday, of course, and a lot of folks heard his testimony. But he apparently has an online history of criticizing former President Trump and conservative figures. He's also defended last summer's Summer of Love, the Black Lives Matter protests. Articles in the Jewish Voice and the Federalist yesterday outlined several of his past tweets, calling his testimony into question here. We also talked to Alan Dershowitz that said this could have consequences on these criminal prosecutions, the folks that need to be held accountable for what happened on January 6th. I mean, what was your take on all this watching it?
Right. I want to make sure, too, that number one, Republicans support our police and our law enforcement, and the Capitol Hill police officers that were there that day were there to protect us. And I don't want to discount their testimony. But when you have activists that might have other political leanings that are called into question, that is something that is up for debate at this juncture. The one thing that I want to point out today is that there have been more resources spent and invested in investigating January 6th than 9/11. And there are already 4 federal agencies that are investigating January 6th. You have Homeland Security, the Secret Service, the FBI, and the Department of Justice, the Attorney General. There have been over 500 arrests. There are also 10 committees in the United States Senate and in the House of Representatives who have broad subpoena power that are also investigating January 6th. And this is just a sideshow to the disastrous first 6 months of the Biden administration and to the failures in leadership of Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. Look, just this morning, Nancy Pelosi wants to have you arrested on Capitol Hill if you're not wearing a mask.
I'll talk to you about that in a second,
I don't know what's going on.
But
I know.
There were a lot of accusations made about specific things that were said to Officer Dunn as well, and they sound like very serious, horrible things, and we're not condoning that type of behavior at all, and we want to get to the bottom of this. Certain body cam footage has been released and shown to the public, but the specific accusations that were made by Officer Dunn yesterday, that could be substantiated with the release of the body camera footage and also a lot of the surveillance footage from the Capitol that has not been released to the public yet. Are we ever going to get to see that stuff?
All of it should be released. If you want to get to the bottom of January 6th, just release all of it. All of it is right there on the camera footage. I think every American, Republican or Democrat, would agree with that. We ought to get to the bottom of it, and we already are through 4 federal agencies and 10 congressional committees. It's already being investigated, and instead of this select committee that is not bipartisan, is instead trying to, have these hearings. And in fact, earlier this week, I was told that some committee and subcommittee hearings were delayed this week so that Nancy Pelosi could have hearings and have a broad media coverage, media circus on the January 6th commission. That's just wrong. That's not American. We've got work to do up here. Yeah,
it's like a hurry up and start kind of thing. It was so urgent that this happened and so important and so emotional. And now, what's next? We don't know.
Pelosi just wants the press. She just wants the press. It's not about the people. It's about Pelosi.
And I think a lot of people feel like she's trying to drag this out as close to 2022 as possible to leverage the maximum amount of political leverage out of the situation. Real quick, let's talk about the new mask mandate up there on Capitol Hill. Here's your colleague Chip Roy in his impassioned plea on the House floor yesterday.
And the American people are fed up. They want to go back to life. They want to go back to business. They want to go back to school without their children being forced to wear masks, to be put in the corner, to have mental health issues. And we're running around here, and the speaker comes down here at 10 o'clock in the morning saying we got to wear masks into people's house while we've got thousands of people pouring across our border, and Democrats don't do a darn thing about it.
I want to talk specifically about the insanity and what we know about the efficacy of masks for kids, what he talked about there. Enforcing mask mandates on kids, but not on illegal immigrants?
Right. Thousands of people coming across the border illegally, not being tested for COVID. We know that they have COVID, not wearing masks, not being vaccinated. In fact, if you travel to Mexico as a citizen of the United States for vacation, like many Americans do right now, when you come back to the United States, you have to test negative in order just to come back into your own country. But across the border from Mexico, no vaccinations, no testing, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's a super spreader event down on the border.
Yeah, nothing to see here, as so many Democrats would like you to believe. Congresswoman Nancy Mace, thanks so much. Great to see you.
Thank you, as always.